Hey class, this is Mr. Lee. We're looking at activity sheet 2. This is the video helper. It's Friday, August 29th. So we've been doing the very front page. We're up to problem 6. There's a couple problems missing. If you turn to the back right here, today we're going to look at problems 10 and problems 11. Problems 10 and problem 11. If you look on the very back, this is blank. So if you can, we have problem 10, problem 11. I need you to get this paper, fold it like this, so you can write your work. This is problem 10 right here. This table shows the average points per game of Haley's teammates. We're going to use this table to answer our questions. On the left-hand side, we have her teammates: Juanita, Lisa, Danny, Jojo, Vanessa, and Amanda. The next column is how many their last month's averages. This one right here is this month's averages, and this is the percent increase. So right here, this is where our answers are going to be. After we're done with number 10 and 11, and you fill all this out right here, you guys will go onto YouTube, go to Unit 5, Exploring, and it's going to be called percent of a number. So let's do this right here. We're going to find Juanita's, and we know last month she had an average of 10 points, and we don't know what her this month is, but we do know she increased her points by 50%. So here's our technique. What we're going to do right now is this. We're going to set up a percent proportion. A percent proportion means I have my percent on this side, and I'm going to have my score on the left side. Every percent starts off at 100%. Now, with this technique, we know for Juanita, her points increased by 50%. So we have to do 100% plus 50. That's going to get me 150. So right here we are looking for her 150%. Now what we're going to do is see what her point was last month. It was 10. So we put it at 10 right here. Now we're going to multiply diagonally. We're going to cross multiply. I rewrite my equal sign. Now on the left hand side I have 10 times 150. So I write down 10 times 150. On the right hand side I've got 100 times blank. I'm going to leave this blank right here. It's for this guy. Now on the left hand side I have 10 times 150. So I'm going to write down 150 times 10. And I'm going to multiply this out. 0 times 150, that's going to get me a bunch of zeros. There's 3 zeros. Remember, when I multiply, I have to skip a space. So 1 times 150 is, 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 5 is 5. And 1 times 1 gets me 1. I add up. 0 plus 0 is 0. 0 plus 5, that's 5. And 0 plus 1, that gets me 1. So right now, on the left-hand side, I've got 1,500. On the right-hand side, I still have 100 times a blank. Our last step now is to divide, because we want to figure out the blank. Whatever number is with the blank, which is this 100 right now, it's going to go outside of my division house. So I make a division house. The 100 is outside. What goes inside? 1,550. Now I can do my division house. 100 goes into the first 3 numbers. This is 150. It goes in there 1 time. So I have 100 minus 150 minus 100. So that gets me 50. I have a leftover 0 that I can drop down, so I put the 0 right here. 100 goes into 500 how many times? Well, it goes in there 5 times. So now I've got 5 times 100 is 500. I subtract it, I get 0. So right now, my answer for the blank is what? It looks like it's going to be 15. So I'll put 15 in the blank right here. But remember, we want to fill out this proportion right here. So 15 has to go up here. Now that we have this answer, we're going to go back and put, let's see, there is a 15 right here. I'll put it right there. Alright, next we're going to do Lisa. We're going to do Lisa. And it looks like her stat was at 14, and this month she was at 18. We don't know if she increased or what. Let me zoom in. That is an 18 right there, and you can look on your paper. So we're doing Lisa. So again, I have my score right here, and I have my percent. Percent means out of what? Well, it's out of 100, and I'm going to write down my scores. So for Lisa, she had a score of 14 last month. Right there. So for this, let me zoom out. I'll put a 14 right here. Next, I know last month she had 14, and again, it starts at 100 because we think of it her original score. It always starts off at 100. Her score this month is 18. I have to put the 18 where? Not right here because this is percent. I have to put it right here for the score at 18. Now I have to do cross multiply. This cross multiply is different how? Well, now my blank is on the other side. So let's look at this. I'm going to have 18 times 100, because you see 18 times 100, and right here I have 14 times what? 14 times a blank. Okay, so now I have to multiply 100 times 18. 8 times 0 is 0. 8 times 1 is 8. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 1 is 1. I add up. This gets me 0, 0, 8, and 1. So right now I have 1800. This is still 14 times a blank. 14 times a blank. So I'm going to rewrite right now 1800, and I want to figure out my blank, right? This blank, the 14 is right here. The 14 has to go on the outside of my division house. So I'll put a 14 right there, and this is still blank. I'm going to turn my page right here. If you notice, I'm going to zoom out right here. I'm starting to run out of room. So I'm going to fold my paper like this. So I'm going to write my division house. 14 and 1800. Okay, I have to divide. This is not, it's a regular needle, but it's not decimal. So 14 goes in 18 how many times? That goes in there 1 time. So now I have 14. I subtract. So I'm going to have 18 minus 14. That gets me a 4. Do I have anything to drop down? Yes, I have a 0. 14 goes into 40. I will try to figure this out. I'm going to say 14 times 2. 2 times 4 is 8. This is 28. That seems kind of small. Let's try 14 times a 3. 3 times 4, that gets me 12. I carry the 1. 3 times 1 is 3. But I have a 1 right here, so that's a 4. So which is closer to 40 without going over? The 28 or the 42? The 42 is closer, but I can't subtract it. It'll be too big. So I have to use this 2. The 2 goes up here. So now I have 28. Okay? I subtract. 0 can't go into 8, so I borrow. So this is 3. This becomes a 10. Now I have 10 minus 8, which is 2. 3 minus 2 is 1, and I bring down my 0. 14 goes into 120 how many times? Now I have to do something bigger. I know it has to be bigger than 3. I'm going to try 14 times 6. 6 times 4, that's 24. I put out the 2. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 2, that's 8. That's way too small. Now I'm going to try 14 times 8. 14 times 8. 8 times 4 is 32. I carry the 3. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 3, 9, 10, 11. So I put 11 right here. Which is closer? 84 is, when I do 14 times 6, 84 is too small. It's not that close to 120. But when I do 14 times 8, it's 112. So I'm going to use this number 8. Now I have 112. 120 minus 112, 0 minus 2, I can't do that. So it's going to be 10 minus 2, which is 8. Now we're going to put our decimal dot. This becomes a 0. 14 goes into 80. It can't be 6 because 84 is too big, so I'll try 5. 5 times 4 is 20. I'm going to put a tiny 2 right here. 5 times 1 is what? That's 5 plus 2. That gets me a 7. I subtract. 0, 1, that's a 10. I drag down another 0. I'm going to stop right now. So our answer is 128.5. Let's open this up. For Lisa, what's her percent? 128.5. This is what the blank is. So this blank is 128.5. Let's look on this. Is there 128.5? I'm going to zoom in real fast. Look, there's a 16, a 28.6, a 33.3, a 25, and a 5. I'm going to go back to this. If this is 128.5, this is how much her percent went up by. She started off at 100. If she started off at 100, how much did her points go up by? It looked like it went up by 28.5%. So that means for us, we're going to use this one, 28.6. So we'll put 28.6. Again, the reason that I got 28.5 is because I went, oh, we started off at 100. And if the score of 18, it goes up to 128, how much did it go up by? It went up by 28%. So that means I've got to subtract it to figure out how much I go up by. Next up, we're going to figure out Danny. So I'm starting to run out of room. We're starting to run out of room right here. So I'm going to zoom out. We're going to take out our Cornell notes. So take out your Cornell note and turn to a blank page. We have our Cornell note and we have these notes right here. So this is called CW SAS 2 Chapter 5. And we're doing number 10 in our book. Let me zoom out some more. And we're going to do Danny. Last month, she got a score of 8. She got a score of 8. So, this is Danny. And we have our score on the left side. On the right side, we have percent. Now, we're going to set this equal to what? Equal to 100. And this right here, last month, Danny had a score of 8. So I put an 8 right here. Percent increase. Okay, hers is blank right here. We don't know what her last score was, but her percent increased by 100%. What's 100 plus another 100%? That's going to get me 200. So I put the 200 right here. Now I'm going to cross multiply. Okay, that means I have what? I have 200 times 8 and 100 times what? It's times this blank. On the left hand side now, it's going to be 200 times 8. 8 times 0 is 0. 8 times 0 is 0. 8 times 2 is 16. And of course right here we have 100 times a blank. Okay, now we have to divide. So what we're going to do now is this. We have 1600 right here. And we have 100 times blank. What goes inside my division house? This 1600. So I'm going to write my 1600 inside a division house. 100 goes outside. That leaves my blank right here. Because 100 is 3 numbers long, I look at the first 3 numbers. 100 goes into 160. It can't go in there 2 times because 2 times 100 is 200. That's too big, so it goes in there 1 time. I subtract because 1 times 100, so I subtract this 160 minus 100 gets me 60. I still have this 4th 0 to drag down. So now it's 600. 100 goes into 600 16 times. So now I go 6 times 100 is 600. I subtract, this is a 0. So what's going to go into my blank? 16 is going to go into all my blanks. How many scores did she get this month after she increased it? She got a score of 16. So go back to our chart. Find Danny. Is there a 16 around here? There's a 16 right here. We'll put the 16 right there. We just did 3 together. If you feel confident about it, do pause this video, do JoJo on your own. If you don't feel confident, then follow me and let's do JoJo's. We're looking at JoJo. JoJo had this. JoJo last month, let me zoom in, that looks very blurry. That is a 6. Last month, JoJo had a 6. So let's write down our score and our percent. And our percent means out of 100. And we know last month, her baseline was at 6. Now, this month, JoJo has an 8. So it's not the percent, we put the 8 right here. The blank is the percent. Now we have to cross multiply. 8 times 100 and 6 times what? 6 times this blank. The fancy word for this is called a variable. This is called a variable. This blank, this is called a variable. Right here, if you have Cornell notes, this is going to be in your vocab. So we have a variable. And a variable is a fancy word for a blank space, something that we do not know. For us, our symbol is this line, which is a blank space. Later on, you'll see fancier variables. 8 times 100, that gets me, I'm going to show my work. 8 times 0 is 0, that gets me 800. Now, I'm going to rewrite my blank 6 times this blank. Now, I have to make my division house. Whatever I just multiplied goes inside my division house. Whatever is with the blank, whatever's being times by the variable, this has to go into the outside. So now I have this. 6, because it's one number long, I look at the one number, the first number for 800. 6 goes into 8 one time. 1 times 6, that gets me 6. I subtract. 8 minus 6, that gets me 2. I only drag down 1 0. Do not drag down 2 zeros. You only drag one number at a time. 6 goes into 20. 6 goes into 20 3 times. 6 times 3 is 18. 20 minus 18, that gets me 2. I bring down my other 0. 6 goes into 20 3 times. I get 18. I have another 2. I have no more zeros. I could go on and drag down another 0. This follows a pattern though. 6 goes into 20 3 times. I put a line right here because I know it goes on forever. What goes into my blank now? That has 133.3 continuous. JoJo has 133.3. How much did it go up by from 100? It went up by 33. So we saw an increase by 33.3% because we started off with 100, and how much did it go by? 33%. Back on our paper, we see that there's a 33%. 33.3. So there's a 33.3%. On your own, right now, you're going to do Vanessa's, Amanda's. And then you're going to do number 11. I'll talk to you later, guys.